Hey everyone, it's Mark. It's time for me to rank Ash's Unova gym battles, and it's all thanks to your support in my videos ranking Ash's other gym battles. Be sure to check those out if you haven't already. As you can probably expect, there's going to be yet another likes goal to unlock my ranking of Ash's Kalos gym battles. We're going to need to hit 400 likes on this video, so just hit the like button already. What are you waiting for? Alright, let's talk about Ash's Unova gym battles. These battles are all over the place. Like, we've got contenders for the worst gym battles ever, but we also got contenders for the best gym battles ever. This has really made my mind up that I'm going to eventually have to make a tier list video where I rank all of Ash's gym battles because I just have so many thoughts about them now that I've rewatched almost every single one. With that said, let's get into this ranking. Here are all 8 of Ash's Unova gym battles ranked from worst to best. Number 8, Ash vs. Lenora. Maybe not the gym battle a lot of people were expecting to be at the bottom, but this was the worst in my opinion. Ash did have 2 battles against Lenora, but they were so similar that I figured I'd just rank them together. Lenora was a pretty interesting character. I like how she only referred to Silent as Connoisseur Boy. That was pretty funny. As for the actual battle though, this gym had the very unusual rule that both the challenger and the gym leader can switch Pokemon, which is notable since usually the gym leader cannot switch. This played out almost immediately, with Lillipup's Roar getting Tepig out of there and sending an Oshawott. This was all basically just a move to throw Ash off his game as much as possible, which is why Lenora then switched into Watchog and had to use Mean Look, trapping Oshawott into the match. And since Watchog knew Thunderbolt, yeah, this one didn't last long. One of my least favorite parts about this battle was how Lenora switched Lillipup back in to battle Tepig and won super easily, using Takedown to land the finishing blow. Sure, the whole Roar and Mean Look strategy was interesting, but Lenora would have just wiped the floor with Ash regardless. This was embarrassing. To train for the rematch, Ash went to the local battle club where Don George set Ash and his Pokemon up with some unique training exercises. And this actually helped a lot, like a lot, and Tepig even learned Flame Charge while Oshawott learned Aqua Jet, although it was not accurate in the slightest. With that, it was time for the rematch, and Ash's powered up Pokemon were taking on the same team as before. Oh wait, Lillipup had evolved into Herdier off screen. Time for a random fact. Although the English dub made it quite clear that the Lillipup Ash battle the other day had evolved, the original Japanese version of the show made no mention that this Herdier was the same Pokemon, so that's really strange. Anyways, this battle plays out basically the same way, except that Ash and his Pokemon were just better, I guess. I mean, Oshawott only KOs Watchog by getting lucky with Aqua Jet actually landing a hit, but it ended up being a double KO anyways. Tepig must have really leveled up from that training because not only was it way faster, but it went from getting easily knocked out by a takedown attack to being able to absorb a Giga Impact straight to the face and still live. The ending of the battle was a head-to-head showdown between Giga Impact and Flame Charge, which Tepig won. So in conclusion, I thought the first battle was horrible, and then Ash just inexplicably won the rematch, so that's why I put this in last place. Number 7, Ash vs. Elesa. Oh boy, it's time to talk about what a lot of people consider to be the worst battle in the history of the Pokemon anime. Quite frankly, I don't know who thought this was a good idea. Like, why did this battle play out the way it did? I have no clue how this got approved. The setup going into it was that Elesa had just swept Bianca in a gym battle 3-0 using only her Zebstrika, so Ash really needed to think of a great plan. Or at least that's what Ash thought. Pikachu was super fired up to battle, but Ash didn't want to use Pikachu in this one. Okay, that's normal. Ash uses his other Pokemon all the time, and Pikachu never really complains, but for some reason in this battle it was a point of emphasis to keep showing Pikachu getting frustrated on the sidelines. And believe me, it was hard to not get frustrated watching this battle. The start is totally fine. Palpitoad is a perfect counter to Zebstrika, and it was great seeing Ash take down such a powerful Pokemon. But then came Elisa's Emolga, who knows Attract. Yeah, Palpitoad wasn't going to overcome that, and for some reason Palpitoad was the only Pokemon that Ash brought into this battle, which is just one of the many things that made no sense during this match. Another entry to that list would be how Ash used Snivy as a second Pokemon, and for some reason thought Attract was going to work because he forgot Snivy was a girl. Unbelievable. That's almost as bad as Elisa's catchphrase. Can we talk about this for a minute?
Feel the spark and feel the tingle. Watch me mix and mingle.
I mean, what is going on with that? How does that make literally any sense for a trainer's battle catchphrase? Okay, let's bring this dumpster fire to a merciful end. After Pikachu electrocutes Ash for being a stupid idiot, we get the only redeeming part of this battle aside from Palpitoad defeating Zebstrika, which is how Ash learns his lesson that he needs to stop overthinking things and just trust in his Pokemon. And by trusting Pikachu, he's able to knock out Emolga with relative ease. Elisa's last Pokemon being Tynamo, I guess it was supposed to be funny. I mean, this whole battle is laughable, but just laughably bad, and that includes the wild wild strategy that Ash uses to win, having Pikachu repeatedly use Thunderbolt on the battlefield in order to create a cloud of smoke, which somehow conveniently leaves a perfect path straight ahead of Pikachu and Tynamo. And this allows Pikachu to time an Iron Tail perfectly, which wins Ash the battle. This was just so bad. I think there are like 2 decent moments in the battle, so that's why it escapes last place for me. But if you think this battle is the worst, I can totally see why. It's so bad. Number 6, Ash vs. Chili, Cress, and Silent. I always wondered how the anime would handle Ash's gym battle at the Striaton Gym, but apparently in the anime, these 3 let their challengers decide who they will face in a one-on-one battle, which sounds incredibly easy if I'm being honest. Ash, being Ash, decided that he wanted to battle against all 3 gym leaders, and remember that he only met Silent a couple of minutes ago, so there was no real connection between the 2 just yet. So, a series of 3 one-on-one gym battles, best 2 out of 3 wins Ash the badge. The first battle was fine, I guess. I was a little surprised Tepig took as much damage as it did and still survived, but whatever. This was probably the best matchup of the 3. Pikachu vs. Panpour was downright embarrassing. Like, sure, Cress comes off as a talented trainer with some good strategy, but I mean, come on. Ash and Pikachu lost to a Panpour. I know a lot of people hated Ash losing to Trip Snivy, but I can forgive that loss. On the other hand, I have no qualms about saying how terrible this loss was for Pikachu. In no world should Ash have lost this matchup. That meant the battle came down to Oshawott, who had no interest in battling against Silent and Pansage. Much to my shock, I totally forgot that this episode actually ended on a cliffhanger, with Pansage about to launch a Solar Beam. Just how was Oshawott going to survive? Well, by using its Scald Chop to deflect the attack, as we learned seconds into the next episode. I really don't think this last battle was very good at all. Like, it took up a lot of time, and there was probably more talking than there was actually battling. But eventually, a rather underwhelming face-off between Razor Shell and Bite decided the battle, with Oshawott being the last Pokemon standing. I don't think this was a good gym battle, but it wasn't as bad as the other 2 I've already talked about. Fortunately, I think the rest of Ash's Unova gym battles are a step up, so let's talk about those already. Number 5, Ash vs. Berg. You know, sometimes with videos like these, I wonder how much people actually pay attention to the middle section of the rankings. Like, I hope no one is skipping over this part. The only reason I say that is because, well, I don't really have a whole lot to say about Ash vs. Berg. It's an average gym battle, which does put it way above the last 3 battles I talked about in this list, but also it's nothing to write home about. As per usual, a 3v3 battle is a good formula to use, and this battle had some fun moments. I especially like some of the moves Berg's Pokemon knew, like Leavanny having Hyper Beam was a shock, but wow, Dwebble having Rock Record totally blew me away. Did not expect to see that in a Bug-type gym. This battle really centered around Ash's Sewaddle. After KOing Dwebble, it had a tough time against Whirlipede, even taking a Solar Beam straight to the face. But by enduring it, Sewaddle had pushed past its limits and started to evolve, making this the first time ever that one of Ash's Pokemon evolved during a gym battle, and I'm really surprised it took this long for that to happen. Anyway, Swadloon learned Energy Ball upon evolving, but after KOing 2 of Berg's Pokemon, it succumbed to a Hyper Beam from Leavanny. A random funny moment happens when Oshawott volunteers to be Ash's last Pokemon, only for Ash to reject him and choose Pikachu instead. So yeah, in general, I think this battle was pretty good. It's not super memorable, but that's fine, because there are still even better gym battles yet to come. Number 4, Ash vs. Skyla. Once again, another solid 3v3 battle. I have very few complaints about Ash vs. Skyla. The story going into this one was that Skyla was refusing to battle challengers, instead just doing this stupid air battle thing where she would imagine how the match would go in her head. Well, Ash called her out, so it's time to see if he can put an end to this air battle nonsense and Skyla's overconfidence. But first, here's a reference that maybe 2 of you will get. ASH Ketchum, here we go. Okay, anyways, this battle gets off to a not-so-hot start as Krokorok essentially gets one-shot by Air Cutter, but fear not, Tranquil is here to save the day. A lot of this match takes place in the air above the Mistralton Gym, which I always think is a cool visual. After defeating Swoobat, Ash eventually switches Tranquil out since it was struggling against Skyla's Unfezant. Pikachu is obviously a fantastic matchup for this gym, and after defeating Unfezant, you'd think Pikachu would have this wrapped up against Swanna, but no, for some reason Aqua Ring is just able to block any and all electric-type damage for some reason. On top of that, Swanna knew powerful moves like Hurricane and Brave Bird, so Ash still had some work to do. With Tranquil being his last hope, things were looking bad until, well, another one of Ash's Pokemon evolved during a gym battle. Yeah, honestly, the reason why I have this match ranked number 4 is because the whole mid-battle evolution was a tired trope by this point. Still, I like Ash's Unfezant, and this was easily its best battle moment, being able to outmaneuver Swanna in the air and use a newly learned Aerial Ace to score the victory. Another thing I liked about this battle was how Skyla was at first super overconfident going going in, but Ash slowly started to chip away at that, and after losing, Skyla was humble in defeat, promising to stop doing air battles and actually battle each of her challengers, so it was almost like a double victory for Ash. Number 3, Ash vs. Clay. Alright, you whippersnappers, let's head on down to the mine for this next battle. In all seriousness, it is pretty cool that Clay's gym is down in a literal mine. It's one of my favorite settings for a gym battle ever, which I suppose is fitting since I love Driftveil City so much. Clay was also a fun character. He was a stubborn, hard-working, blue-collar man, and that showed throughout this battle. At one point, he criticizes Ash for having a strategy and tells him to just attack head-on like a man. Yeah, Clay certainly had his way of doing things. At the risk of repeating myself, this was another really solid 3v3 battle. Ash had some great tactics throughout this match, beginning with Oshawott getting the upper hand on Krokorok. It was nice to see Oshawott battling competently at this point, none of the nonsense that we saw in its earlier gym battles. The strategy that got Clay so riled up was when Ash used the most devastating move in the entire Best Wishes series, that being Attract, which got Palpitoad looking like this to looking like this real quick. Again, it's nice seeing Ash just battle really well sometimes, and he outclassed Clay at multiple points in this battle. Clay's ace, Excadrill, was a much tougher test though, and Ash ultimately decided to use Roggenrola as his last Pokemon because he needed something that could take hits really well. Sure enough, Roggenrola was even able to endure a Horn Drill, and stop me if this sounds familiar, but then Roggenrola starts to evolve in the middle of a gym battle. Yeah, that's the third time I've said that in this video, but this mid-battle evolution hits the sweet spot for me. So Waddle's evolution was in the first half of that battle, and Tranquil's evolution was the third mid-battle evolution in the span of just 4 gym battles. So it had lost its novelty by that point. Roggenrola evolving, on the other hand, was still a shocking moment, and it happened at the climax of the battle, so that's why I like this shock evolution the best. And sure enough, Boldore was good enough to get the job done. A Rock Smash duel was what finished the battle off, with Boldore coming out on top. I don't really have any complaints about this battle, it was just good overall, and very deserving of a spot in the top 3. Number 2, Ash vs. Bryson. If you haven't picked up on this yet, Ash's Unova gym battles generally got better as they went on, so it was no surprise to me that his second to last gym battle ended up in second place in this ranking. This match had a little bit of everything. I love that Bryson's gym is basically just a hockey rink, although ice physics didn't really factor into this battle. The little bit of story going into this was that Ash met Bryson the other day, and Krokorok had developed a bit of a rivalry with Bryson's Beartic. After leading with Krokorok though, Ash did have to switch out in order to save Krokorok for the climactic showdown against Beartic. In the meantime, we got to see Scraggy's only ever gym battle, much to the delight of its best friend Axew. Scraggy's battle style is certainly unique, and that includes its wildly inaccurate Focus Blast, which luckily landed a hit this time, allowing Scraggy to take down Vanillish. Bryson's Cryogonal was a force to be reckoned with though. Its rapid spin was so fast that Scraggy couldn't do anything against it, and it took Pignite landing a precision Fire Pledge at just the right angle to stop Cryogonal in its tracks. You'd think Ash would be well set up to win at this point, but Beartic lived up to its role as Bryson's ace, knowing moves like Brine and Aerial Ace to cover its weaknesses. As we all expected, the battle did come down to Krokorok versus Beartic, and I think this is the best final showdown out of any of Ash's Unova gym battles. It's back and forth through pretty much the entire thing, and eventually Ash takes a page out of Bianca's playbook to win, remembering a tactic she used back at the Clubsplosion tournament. First, Krokorok uses Stone Edge, which Bryson predictably counters with Icicle Crash. However, this launches the Stone Edge rock skywards, and Krokorok grabs onto them, and using its downward momentum, crashes head-on with an Aerial Ace, and after the cliche who's gonna be the last Pokemon standing finish, it's Beartic who goes down, meaning Ash is victorious. And listen, I have a soft spot for Ash's Krokorok, I won't lie. It's one of my favorite Ash Pokemon ever, so any Krokorok highlight is gonna go down well with me. Number 1, Ash vs. Roxy. Now here's a battle that doesn't get the credit it deserves, or at least I think that's the case. I don't know, I love this battle, but I get the sense that a lot of people don't like it, so I'll be really curious to hear your thoughts down in the comments. I think this is clearly the best Unova gym battle, but which one is your favorite? Part of the reason why I love this battle is because in the games, Roxy is just a really easy second gym leader in Black 2 and White 2, but since the anime took some weird twisted turns, Roxy ended up being Ash's last step for his 8th gym badge. So basically, they totally reinvented Roxy in the anime, and I think they made her totally awesome. She's so strong that in a day, she can basically fill up an entire Pokemon Center with defeated challengers, and they claim that her Pokemon are super high leveled, have devastating poison techniques, and some of them even got swept by just one of Roxy's Pokemon. The gym setting is great too, an underground arena with a stage where a sea of loud and crazy fans have gathered to watch Koffing and the Toxics perform, as well as watch Roxy decimate challenger after challenger. She's even bold enough to challenge Ash to a 3v6 battle, which I love. I'm guessing some people don't like the unbalanced rules, but to me, Roxy is just such a strong trainer. Like, Ash was actually battling really well at this point in his Unova journey. Like, it's not like he's making any embarrassing mistakes. I would even go as far to say that he makes almost no misplays in this entire battle. But Roxy and her Pokemon are so strong that a 3v6 feels justified. And with Roxy being so powerful, it takes a lot of effort for Ash to get even one KO, and it's so satisfying when he does knock out one of Roxy's Pokemon. And that's a special feat, making knocking out a Koffing feel like a serious accomplishment. Roxy even gives Ash a Pecha Berry at one point. Like, it's unreal how dominant she is. She'll give her challenger double the amount of Pokemon as her, and she even heals their poison, yet she'll still beat you down relentlessly, because that's just how strong Roxy is. I could go on for much longer. 2 full episodes are spent on Ash vs. Roxy. It's just so good in my opinion, but now I want to hear your opinion. These gym battles range from awful to spectacular, so what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit like so we can reach the goal to unlock my ranking of Ash's Kalos gym battles, hit subscribe so you don't miss that video when it comes out, and I'll see you guys next time.